My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. What a batting effort from India at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Asked to bat first, something, as our record showed in our pre-show, has not always been the preferred option, but they had no choice. They lost the toss, and how they responded with 240 for 3 in their 20 overs. It was the Rohit and Rahul show for much of it, but then somebody awoken. A chap called Virat Kohli, who was quietly going about his business to try and finish the innings. I can tell you it wouldn't have been 70 of 29 had it not been for a little help from the opposition. Much of the runs were his, many of them were from the men in maroon. See what my experts in the studio seem to think. Joy and Simon, no one on the My 11 Circle expert couch, obviously, but a few of those runs you'd have to attribute to anyone who chirped up there.
It's madness. It's madness. There's certain players around the world, you want an eerie silence when you're in the field, I would imagine. And Virat Kohli is one of those guys. You just don't say a word. Don't say anything. Don't gesture. Just leave him be. He will actually be a little bit unnerved by the eerie silence if no one's going at him, because he wants the competition. That's what makes him a great player. He wants the competition. He wants to be in the fight. And when he is, look out.
And there was a time when Rishabh Pant came in, it didn't work, that move, then out walks Virat Kohli. His first 4 deliveries looked a little scratchy. So if he didn't have the alarm clock inside him, they did.
Absolutely, and if you notice, he did that in the first match as well. He was struggling, and what he does is he finds a way to motivate himself. At that point, don't give him that opportunity, don't talk back. He wants to have a fight with you. Don't give him that chance, because if he does, he'll just use it to, wind himself up, and then God help you, Anyway, anybody getting Virat Kohli angry during a match is asking for trouble.
And you've also had experiences. You were telling us about Justin Langer as an example of someone you would not mess with.
Certain players, and that's the key. You look at the opposition and you find guys. Justin Langer was always up for the fight. He was a really competitive guy, and he wanted to be involved. He wanted to be in it, whether he was at short leg under the helmet or whether he had the bat in the hand. Just one of those guys you just didn't say a thing to. And there's certain players you could possibly have a few words to. There's certain players you just do not want to rile up or get angry or get in their face. And, Virat's one of them. I mean, obviously, there's been many more in years gone by, but you just don't do it. You just do not do it. Steer clear.
On the other side of the coin, do any names come to mind for anyone who you can really rattle with a few words?
Oh, I mean, there are lots. I mean, I remember like when Manoj Tiwari used to go into bat for, KKR and this thing, they used to cheer up all the time because Manoj is a nervous starter. Anyone who's a nervous starter, they used to call him a bolter because he just wants to have that first single, drop the ball and run, And they just bring in the field and said, we're going to get him for 0, and they just do it. So they know, players know, teams know when to get at you, when to get after you. But that's the point. Every analyst in the country now knows when to get at somebody, when to not to. And I can tell you the guy who's the analyst now for the West Indies team, A.R. Srikanth, used to be a KKR guy for the longest time. He would know everything about Virat Kohli. So he must be sitting out there and saying, guys, don't do this. Please don't do this.
Yes, they did focus on him. But one person who much was not talked about, in fact, nothing really gets talked about in terms of when he's under that helmet and that scale, Rahul, really sometimes has the question marks asked in and out of the team occasionally. Look at that response. 91 of 56 balls, and he is not the permanent choice to be Rohit Sharma's partner until now.
Well, he should be. I mean, you look at his international record, it's phenomenal. And you've got an opening batsman that strikes at just a tick under 140 and averages about 40 now in T20 cricket, I think. And those are phenomenal numbers for a T20 opening batsman in international cricket. He's got to be the guy. Unfortunately, Shikhar Dhawan has been in and out. Yes, injuries have played their part, but his form at the international level in big tournaments, but the 50-over tournaments, has been good. 2020 is not so great, and I think it's time to move on. It's time to give KL a proper run at it.
No disrespect to Gabbar, but when another villain comes out in a shorter version, in a short film, you allow him to...
Not only that, I mean, the other thing, you look at it and say, look at today, okay? KL, the first part of this innings was actually still about Rohit Sharma. The next part is about Virat Kohli. Who's the guy who scored the maximum runs? This KL Rahul at 162.5, which is not shabby by any stretch of the imagination. But he is not the hero of the narrative. The guy saying, wow, did you see Rohit? And then Virat went mad. And that's exactly the problem with KL Rahul. Very often he sort of slips under the radar, even with performances like that. And I think KL Rahul deserves his place in the sun. And with this innings, he's stamped it out there and said, this is the last T20 of 2019. He's probably, that visa stamp to Australia is definitely there already.
But of course, you can't escape talking about the real homeboy in a sense, Rohit Sharma. We mentioned Kyron Pollard having played a lot of T20 international cricket there. T20 cricket, they're not internationals.
Yes, yeah.
But Rohit Sharma, truly, he revels there. Eden Gardens may be his unofficial home, but he does like the Wankhede.
Yeah, well, 4 titles he's got with Mumbai Indians in the IPL. He plays so well at Wankhede on a regular basis. And I talked to Ajay in the Cricbuzz combox at the halfway stage about having certain grounds where you turn up and you know your spot in the changing room, you know the ground, you know every blade of grass almost on that ground, you know every little intricacy about that whole stadium. And he feels comfortable. He feels at home. He'll walk in there, he'll have his spot in the dressing room, put his bag down, it'll be like it's sort of shaped to his bottom, I would say, the seat that's in the changing room, because that's where he sits so often, and he just feels comfortable. And he walked out there tonight like a man who knew exactly what he had to do, and like he owned that ground, and he's owned it many a time, and he'll continue to do so.
Let's look at the team. Let's look at Team India overall. A couple of sets of numbers we have. One of them that stood out was that since 2009, it's been 10 years since India have got 70 plus in a power play. It's the highest score in 10 years in a power play. It was against Sri Lanka at Nagpur 10 years ago in 2009. Everything else has been overseas in terms of power play scores. So that was the first thing that hit you in the power play, coming hard. We'll come to the second number after that.
No, it definitely is. And I think the way they batted, I think that's the thing that, you had that, you are bound to have a drop in momentum. And it happened because when this guy got out, first Rohit got out and then Pant didn't get going. There was a drop in the numbers. Somehow he just wouldn't going. That was what happened after that. And I think that's a big thing. The fact that they managed to start accelerating again was very important for India.
Second set of numbers that we mentioned was India in the first 10 overs. First is, of course, the power play that you set the platform. Now, this is since July 2017, last 45 games, as you can have a look at 100 plus total in the first 10 overs, and the results in most cases obviously have gone in India's favour.
Only one loss in that
Only
table.
one loss.
Yeah, that was at Hamilton against New Zealand. They just failed to chase down a score just over 200, I think that was, in that particular game. But every other time, you put 100 on the board in the first 10 overs, that says a 90% win rate, basically. You're going to win 9 out of 10 games, and if you continue to play like that's what's required. And I mean, they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant up front. They gave no response. And there was a few deliveries, a couple from Jason Holder in particular, that nipped and bounced. So it had pace, it had bounce. But if you'd have said to me 10, 15 years ago that Indian batsmen would love pace and bounce, I would have thought, I'm not so sure about that. But nowadays, the modern Indian batsmen are so good on the back foot, so good with the pull shot, the hook shot, the ramp shots, the uppercuts. They love pace and bounce in the surface. I don't think they play spin as well as some of those guys 15, 20 years ago, and even 5 to 10 years ago, Gautam Bhimani, even Dada. They played spin brilliantly. Lakshman was outstanding. I don't think this current crop plays spin quite as well, but they play quick bowling. They play quick bowling.
But you're waiting for this one. They took a liking to.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. You play a guy like that. They didn't even allow him to settle. 2 overs, 35 runs. They would have looked down that sheet and said, this guy comes on, we're not even going to allow him to land the ball. And look, it could have gone wrong. Somebody could have stepped out and got stumped. But as it turned out, it didn't. They hit him out of the attack completely. And that's a big danger when you're playing somebody like that in a game, in a pitch that's so true.
Very difficult to get stumped when the ball doesn't turn.
Exactly.
One handicap. I know I was off air. I was being a little cheeky about that injury to Evan Lewis and the knee. Twice. Once he went for that spectacular catch, and then he hit that knee into the turf. They have confirmed he will not open the batting. He may not even come out to bat. He's gone for a scan. So it's going to be Brandon King opening with Lendl Simmons. That will be a setback.
See, that surprised me. I thought Nicholas Pooran might have come out at the top of the order. Being another left-handed.
But they rate Brandon King very highly.
Yeah, and he's a good player. I just wonder whether they might have gone with the more explosive Nicholas Pooran. But King's got a great opportunity. And there's only one way to go when you're chasing 241. Yeah, there's only one way. I mean, this is one of those games where West Indies could be bowled out for 120, or they could get 241.
They could get close. Yeah, absolutely. I remember, once Shakib said this in the KKR dressing room once very well. And this was in the finals, that 2014 finals which we won. And Shakib turned around and said, once they crossed 200, he said, now it's okay. I said, why? He said, we don't have to think anymore.
Correct.
We just have to go there and bat. And that's exactly the thing the West Indies will be saying. We don't have anything to think about. Smash everything out of the park.
All right, it's going to be a powerful reply come what may. So we're going to change the rules slightly for the My 11 Circle expert couch prediction because, of course, none of us are sitting on it. And what we're going to do is power play score for the West Indies, obviously with the usual ±5, not 10 because it's only 6 overs. So power play for the West Indies ±5.
I went first last time, Joy, so you go.
47.
47. I don't mind going second.
Okay.
6 overs. I'm going to go 61.
85.
I like it.
47,
I like
61, 85. Well, it's going to need about 85 if they want to chase down 241. Remember, the last time we saw them score such a huge score was in Fort Lauderdale, in Lauderhill, Florida against India. That's, of course, when they were batting first. In this occasion, they are chasing down a massive total. It's going to take a humongous effort. We will try and assess it at the 10-over mark, by which time we'll know the result of this when Simon Doull joins Ajay Jadeja for Cricbuzz Combox. And we'll wrap it all at the end. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.